Presented by Caltech.
Hi, I'm Xiaomi,
And I'm Michael.
and we will be talking to you about organization. Specifically, we're going to talk about big picture organization, while Vivian and Edward are going to talk about organization at the paragraph and sentence levels.
We want to convey to you that organization is important and can look different in various genres, and then guide you through a few examples of possible ways to organize.
Now that your argument has been determined, it is time to arrange your thoughts. The goal of writing is to communicate with your audience, so it is important that your writing is easy to follow. Now, I'm sure that you've already learned about organization in high school from English teachers, the AP or IB tests, and the SATs. I think most of us learned how to write in the 5-paragraph style, with its introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and conclusion. I even learned that I should arbitrarily arrange those body paragraphs in some kind of manner based on how strong they were. That was effective for those standardized essays, but that's not always going to apply to writing. As these guidebooks suggest, writing should follow a logical progression, not a rigid format, and its organization should be tailored for its content. We can see this more clearly if we think about writing like solving a math problem.
What if in math we didn't solve equations logically? Let's try this example. Solve for x. X squared plus 1 equals 19 minus x squared. In your head, you're probably solving it along these lines. Add x squared to both sides, subtract 1 from both sides, divide by 2. And so x equals plus or minus 3. Now what if instead we wrote x squared plus 1 equals 19 minus x squared. X squared equals 9. 2 times x squared equals 18. 2 times x squared plus 1 equals 19. And so clearly, x equals plus or minus 3. That seems weird, doesn't it? The statements are all still there, but they do not make sense in the order in which they are presented. Would a math professor accept this as an acceptable way of solving the problem? Probably not. You can rearrange some of the middle terms from the original order, but it'd be difficult to understand a solution if it jumped from this step to this one, and so on. From this short example, we can see that your thoughts should progress logically. There can be more than one way to organize them. Let's explore this idea further with writing. Just as there is a way of organizing our thoughts in math, there are specific ways to organize our thoughts in writing. Different disciplines can have different forms of organization, and even within a field of study, individuals can have their own personal tastes.
Depending on the genre, you will encounter varying forms of organization. It is important to recognize the expected format for specific types of writing. For example, in your humanities class, you might have to write a dialectic essay for a philosophy course, or an argument-driven essay for English or history. I still remember the first time I encountered a philosophy essay, and I had no idea what I was looking at. I had to learn about writing in first person, providing a roadmap for my readers, and keeping them focused with signposts. And even within the STEM field, you could be writing a notebook entry, a lab report, or a scientific paper. The common form of a paper includes an introduction, results section, discussion, and conclusion, but each division of science has its own variation on that standard. You'll also have writing outside of classwork, and it'll be helpful to learn the typical organizations of those as well. These subjects demonstrate just a bit of the diversity that comes with writing in college, so be prepared to learn new organizational methods and techniques. Lastly, let's talk about the first thing that pops into most people's minds when they think about organization: outlines. Although many people advise you to start with an outline, you can use one whenever works best for you. You can start with one, use one after you've started writing, or wait until the very end and reverse outline to make sure everything works. All of these approaches are great. You can also feel free to outline in different ways. Let's look at a few examples of how.
Here's an example of a friend's outline. It is a list of ideas that she wants to cover in her writing, but is not organized in a specific manner. It can be useful for my friend to briefly sketch out her ideas in this manner. She can compare this list to her writing later to see if she covered everything. Now let's look at the same outline, but more fleshed out. There is more detail, and the supporting evidence is arranged under the bigger ideas. There is a structure present, so the writer can follow the outline as she writes. Nevertheless, both of these can be equally useful resources while writing. If you wanted even more elaboration in the outline, Here are some more questions you can think about. How are the big ideas connected to one another? How does the author plan on connecting all of these? What is the central argument, and how do the sections contribute to it? Identifying these transitions and relationships can help make your outline more effective for your writing process, but only if you find it helpful.
On the other hand, an outline can be even more chaotic, with more writing and less formatting. Here, we see a free writing outline for an English paper that I recently did. At this point, I had brainstormed my arguments, but I was still figuring out how they fit together. This kind of outline can be useful to begin writing or in the process of writing to combat writer's block. The same ideas can be reformatted into a pictogram. This flowchart clearly delineates a central claim and its supporting arguments, and it explains how different ideas are connected. So, don't be afraid of outlines and don't feel restricted by outlines. We only show you a few examples, but you should figure out what works best for you. Outlines exist to ensure that your writing is manageable for you and approachable for a reader.
All right, here's what we want you to take away from this presentation.
Your writing should have a logical progression so that it's easy to follow.
Thoughtful organization lets your reader do less work to understand your writing, while confusing organization requires the reader to reassemble your ideas in hopes of comprehending your thought process.
Think of the two as a poorly built rowboat versus a luxury yacht.
Readers will get exhausted while exerting the effort necessary to travel in a leaky rowboat, so they will have less appreciation and enthusiasm for their journey.
On the other hand, readers in a yacht can leisurely enjoy the trip.
Wouldn't you prefer your professors grading on the yacht and not a rowboat?
Having said that, keep in mind that there is more than one way to organize, and you should feel free to outline your thoughts in a manner that works best for you.
Thanks for your time.